Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I'd like to show you how I made this card. I love the combination of Sahara Sand and Cherry Cobbler together. So to make this card, these are the pieces we're going to need. We're going to need in Cherry Cobbler a piece that is 5.5 by 4 1/4. This is basically a quarter sheet of an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. The next piece of Cherry Cobbler we're going to need is 4 inches by 2.5 inches, and the last piece is 1 3/8 of an inch by 5 1/4 inches. Then we need a couple pieces of Sahara Sand, and this first piece measures 3 3/4 by 2 1/4, and this piece is 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. Then we'll need a piece of Whisper White, and this piece measures 5 3/8 by 8 1/4. And you'll see here that I have already scored this at 1.5 inches and at 4 1/8 inch. And all of the dimensions of the items are listed below the YouTube video down here. So in order to get started with this, what we're going to need to do is fold this card in half and this way, and I'm going to use my bone folder to get a nice crisp edge on that. And then we're going to fold this piece back on itself, and again get a nice crease there. And that's the basis of this card. You'll see that this will fit eventually on this piece and have a nice Cherry Cobbler edge all the way around it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is do some stamping. And the stamp sets I'm going to use this time are Timeless Textures. I'm going to use this Flourish. Then I'm using Number of Years stamp set, and I'm using this Leaf Spray and this Cluster of Flowers here. The last stamp set I'm using is Gift of Love. It's a Hostess stamp set, and I'm using the Thank You from this set. All right, so in order to stamp this card, what we need is a couple pieces of scratch paper that I'm going to slide right under here and right under this flap as well, so I can get to this flap. And what I'm going to do is use my Flourish, and I'm going to do this in Sahara Sand ink, and I'm going to stamp this. And one thing that I've noted is I've done more of this, particularly on this card, was that it's pretty important to get your stamping done in the center of this panel, because you can fill in the sides or an end pretty easily, but if you've left a gap in the center, it's pretty hard to recover from. So make sure you stamp right down the center of your card first, and there, I think that's enough stamping for that. Now I'm going to remove this piece of scratch paper, move this card out of the way, and I'm going to do some more stamping on this panel right back here. And again, with a Flourish, I'm going to stamp down the center of this card, moving things back and forth and around, getting the center first, and then doing my fill-in stamping once that center is covered. And there we go. I want to fill up this whole back panel because some of that's going to show from the other side of the card here. There, I think that's pretty good. Great. All right, now when this card is open, you'll be able to see stamping here and stamping here. While I'm at it and stamping, I'm also going to stamp this longer piece of Sahara Sand with this same flourish. And again, trying to get the center of the panel stamped first, and then doing my fill in on the sides and the top and bottom. There we go. I think that looks, let's see, I've got a little piece there. Okay, so that piece is now stamped as well. So one of the things I'm going to do, if we take a look at this card again, there's a little detail along the edge here that is a torn edge, and that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to tear this edge at about 1/4 of an inch, going kind of back and forth so that it's not too straight there. And you just want to hold your card here so that you don't get a crease in this piece while you're tearing. Kind of hard to grasp this flat. I suppose I could open it up this way and do my tearing that way. And there we go. Like I said, about 1/4 of an inch. And what we're going to do is, when we put the red cherry cobbler piece underneath here, that's going to peek out from this edge, and it'll add a little nice detail to the edge of the card. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is, there's quite a bit of sponging, and I'm sponging in my Sahara Sand. I'm going to sponge this edge I just tore all the way around. Then I'm going to sponge this crease right here. I'm going to open this up, sponge that edge. I'm going to catch this crease all the way down. This edge here. I'm going to open my card up, and I'm going to sponge the edges on the inside of the card as well, just to give a consistent look of the distressed or shabby chic kind of look that we've got going here. So all the way around the card. And while I'm at it, I will also sponge the edges of this Sahara Sand piece. And we do quite a bit of sponging on this one, but I think it gives it a nice consistent look in the end. And there, we've got all those pieces sponged, and we're done with that for now. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to next tuck in this piece of cherry cobbler here to give that detail behind that flap. And what I want to do is, I don't want to tuck this in so far that it makes it challenging for this piece to close. So I'm going to start by putting fuse on the back side of this panel. That way I know exactly where my glue is. And what I'm going to do is, I cut this piece bigger than this piece here, because we're going to cut the edges off and get a perfect fit. So I'm going to very carefully set this just slightly above the edge of that fold, so that it doesn't impede the folding of that flap. And in fact, I'm going to give that just another burnish. Very good. Okay, so then I'm going to take my paper snips here, and I'm going to cut this edge off so that it is in fact a perfect fit. And we don't see the edge of that red on the top or on the bottom. So snipping off both of those edges, and there you see we have that nice red edge on the card. Then I'm going to attach this piece to this edge. Oh, looks like I cut that a little long. So I am going to cut about 1/8 of an inch of that off. Let's see if that does it. Yep, that does it. All right, so I'm going to re-sponge this edge because I think I just cut off all of my sponging. Now I'm going to use Tombow to adhere that piece to here. I will make sure that the measurement that I gave you for this piece is exactly right when I post this video to make sure that it doesn't have to be trimmed the way I had to, and it'll be correct below on the bottom of the video. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, again using Tombow, because in this case I need to make sure that this edge is even all the way around, and Tombow does give me that advantage of being able to kind of wiggle this around and get it in place so that the edge at the top and the bottom are the same. There we go. All right, there, that's coming together nicely. Now what I'm going to do is work on this center panel piece, and we are going to do some stamping on the Sahara Sand piece here. And let's see, I need a piece of scratch paper back here, and I'm going to, again using my Sahara Sand, I'm going to use this leaf spray, and I'm going to take the corner of this leaf spray here and tuck it into the corner of this Sahara Sand piece. Not too tight in that corner, but tucked a little bit down there. And I'm going to press down and there we have a nice image. You certainly can use your piercing mat. This one also has a bit of a distressed look on it, but if you want a perfect stamp, you really should be using your piercing mat to give some support, because these photopolymer stamps don't have the cushion like the rubber stamps do. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to stamp my little cluster of flowers, and I have to find my little cluster stamp. Where did it go? Of course, there's a rule of when you're doing a video, your pieces disappear. Oh, there it is. It's fallen on the floor. Let me get that. All right. And I'm going to use my cherry cobbler to do this stamping. And so here I have my cherry cobbler. The only thing to watch on this little stamp is that there's a tab here on the side of the stamp, and that's to help you from a direction standpoint. I think you can see that there, so that you can consistently stamp the same way if you choose to. It helps you decide which is the bottom or the top or the right or the left. And the only thing is that you have to be very careful when you ink this up to just barely tap and get your ink just on the cluster, because if you get ink on the tab, you're liable to get ink on your card where you don't want it. So very carefully there. And let's see, I'm going to put these clusters, there's some stems on this that are a natural place for flowers to go. So I'll start up here on the edge of that cluster, stem I mean. Same thing here. There's a break in the stem there. There's one up there. And one there. And I'm going to put one there. Okay. And while I've got the cherry cobbler out, then I will do my thank you stamp down here on the bottom. And I'm going to try to get that straight. There we go. We have a nice thank you. Now, you'll see that I got a little cherry cobbler here where I didn't necessarily want it on the base here. So I'm going to use this opportunity to teach you a little trick that I learned. This is a sanding block that you might watch your nail tech at the nail salon use. And it's got a little bit of sandpaper grit around the edge. And what I have found is you can actually use this on your card and it will literally sand off a little piece of ink, and I have found that it works beautifully to save a project. And so I think I'm putting down ink as I'm picking it up, so I'm going to get a little baby wipe here and make sure that I'm wiping my hands, because now I've got a little spot over here which I'm just going to use this on. And this has saved more projects for me by just being able to pick up that little spot of ink. And I'm going to show you here up close that it literally just sands off a little bit of that ink. And so it can help you save a project more often than not. It works best on lighter color cards, and I've seen people use this as a technique on darker cards to give the cardstock almost a suede look. But it works reasonably well on lighter colors of stock. In any case, that's done now. Now, what we're going to do is layer this on to this piece of cherry cobbler. Let's see, I think I'm all done with this ink. Oh, nope, I'm not. I'm going to have to sponge the edges of this. But first I'm going to round these corners. And I'm going to take a little corner rounder here and snug that in and get a corner. And do that on that end as well. Oops. Didn't get that very well. There we go. So I'm going to do this again on this piece of the cherry cobbler and get a corner on, rounded corner on both sides. Sometimes you have to give them a little encouragement. All right, so this one is going to layer on top of this one, and I'm going to use Tombow again. And before I do that, I'm going to sponge the edges of this piece of cardstock here to match the rest of the card. Okay, and I think that is now done. Okay, now I am going to use Tombow to adhere this piece. So a little Tombow around the edge, and I'm going to put this in place on here, and then make sure that I move that around so that I've got the edging I want all the way around. There we go. All right. Now I am going to attach this piece onto my card, and I am going to use dimensionals to get this piece lifted just a little. Grab my dimensionals here, and what I'm going to do is move some of this stuff out of the way. I'm starting to get a little cluttered here. So I'm going to place this kind of centered on this card front, a little past center on the bottom. I'm going to put my thumbnail there so that I know that I'm going to put 2 dimensionals down from that point, and down far enough that they definitely won't show. And I'm going to leave those little pieces on the top there so that I can put this back in place, and this time put my finger on this end and know that the dimensionals need to go above that point. And I'm putting quite a few dimensionals on this project. I'm even going to put one in the center here, and now I'll peel those off, because the natural way to open this card is to grab this piece and open. And so I want that to be on there very, very securely. So let's see here. I need to take a couple more of these pieces off. And then center this on this piece. And I'm just going to lay this down very gently until I'm sure I've got it on here straight. You can line it up with this edge and with this edge, and when I'm happy with where it is, then I'll set that down. Now, the next thing we're going to do is put this card base on our Cherry Cobbler overall card base, and again, I'm going to use Tombow because it'll help me make sure that I get it on there straight. And so, got a little extra glue up in that corner. I'm going to move that around a little. Okay. Now then, I'm going to take this piece and I am going to set it on my card base and then move it so that I have a nice even base all the way around. Okay, there we go. Now we're almost done. We've got a little bit of embellishment left to do on the card base here, and I'm going to get some pearls out of my pearl box and rhinestone box here. I think that one will do. And what I'm going to do is use my piercing tool here, and I'm going to set 3 of these large pearls in the corners on the card, one right in the corner and then one on either side of that corner pearl to get a little detail. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Here and, oops, here. Okay. Now, on this card, I added some random pearls around on the card, and I did that in an uneven number, and they seem kind of insignificant to me. They don't rise to the occasion with these pearls here. I think they need to be the bigger pearls. So I am going to take the rest of these bigger pearls, and the eye has a tendency to like things in odd numbers. And so I'm going to stick these pearls randomly around my card, and I'm going to put 5 of them on. So there's 3. I'm going to put 1 down here, and I'm going to put 1 more right in here. And there we go. I think that shows a little bit better. It doesn't look like it was an afterthought. And so there we have our project today. And we have a really nice kind of shabby chic card, and I am really pleased with the color combination and the way this card has come together. So again, the measurements for everything are down below. All of the materials here can be purchased on my 24/7 shop, lbedinger.stampinup.net. And thanks very much for watching my video today. And if you don't have a demonstrator, a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. And or you could join my team. In any case, I'll be back soon with another video and more 3D projects and more cards. And until then, bye for now.